wanted to show you what it's like to take a class at New Masters Academy from the start to the very end. I just finished a class called Sketchbook Journey Analyzing the Masters with Catherine Bobkowski, and I've been recording assignments and how I organize myself and everything. If it's your first time here, my name is Julie. I study art online and I share my artistic journey here with you. You have two kinds of classes at New Masters Academy, the pre-recorded ones, so you have the entirety of the videos available on the website when you start. You can watch them at your own pace and then you do the assignments, and if this is an interactive class, you can submit your assignments to get critiques from teacher assistants. This is most of what I've been doing, and the second kind of classes are the live classes. Every week you have a new lesson that you can either watch live or you can watch the recording like the day after or whenever you want. And for these classes you can do the assignments and submit them for critique, but it's going to be critiques by the instructor. This live class was all about master studies. The idea was to study master artworks, master paintings, in a very small scale, in a very simple, quick way. So we've been doing studies in black and white, in gray, studies in graphite, and color studies in gouache as well. But I'm going to show you all of the assignments and tell you more about it. But before I do, I just want to show you how I organize myself for every class at New Masters Academy. We are on Firefox. This is the page of the class. You can see there is the live classroom part that is not active at the moment because this live class is held at 2 a.m. for me and I'm never going to attend live, but instead I'm going to watch the recordings on the next morning, and then underneath you can see the current class recordings. 1 week happened already that I watched and I started doing the assignments. This is the video place where you can watch the lesson. Then you have the materials list, reference files, assignments, and reference images. So the first thing that I do is that I bookmark the class because I don't want to have to search for it. So these are my classes bookmarks. This is the class I'm taking, and this is another live class that I'm watching the recordings of. The second thing that I do is that I make a folder to organize my notes. So I use Apple Notes to organize all of the notes of all of the classes that I've taken at New Masters Academy. I have this folder about classes. These are the ones I paused, these are the ones that I completed, and I have all of my folders and all of my notes. I make one folder per class, so Sketchbook Journey. Then I have one title note where I keep some information about the class in general, and then I have one note per week or per lesson. So my main note has a picture because I like to be able to see it, the title of the class, the link, just in case, and the teacher, my dates when I started it and finished it, the description of the class that I paste from the New Masters Academy website, and then I like to include a checklist with links for all of the lessons. So as I complete the lessons, I will be able to check, like this, and to see how many lessons I completed already. It's just satisfying. Then I have this section for important notes about the entire class. If when the class is finished, I want to review all of my notes and keep the most important ones. I have a place to do so, it's not something that I always do. Then the materials list. Then I have all of my notes for all of the lessons. I like to make them in advance. I have a template, by the way, so I just copy and paste these. And on my week one, I don't know wait, oh okay, it's just SG for Sketchbook Journey. I'm going to change the title of this note. I keep some notes that I take during the lesson, so usually I will have, while I'm watching the video, I will have my notes app here on the side and take notes right here. Sometimes I take notes just on a sketchbook or on a piece of paper, and I will add the picture to my notes app because some lessons, some classes require different kinds of note-taking, and this is why I like using Apple Notes for this. Then I have a section for the assignments. I keep the instruction PDF here, and then underneath I'm going to keep my submission. This is just how I organize myself on my computer. And then for planning, I use a Hobonichi planner. I made a video about it in December or January, and this is how I organize my daily events and tasks. So I'm going to show you a week. Maybe I can show you my month spread. It's here on my month spread. You can see on Fridays that I wrote in pencil that I'm taking Sketchbook journey. I use this spread, and it's just a standard calendar. You could use Google Calendar or anything for this. I dedicate specific blocks of time for this class, and I use color coding, so anything in brown is related to New Masters Academy, anything in pink is related to this YouTube channel, and green is personal practice. And I also like in this spread to keep track of the lessons that I completed during the week. And now I just wanted to go over the materials list with you, so let me open this. It's my first time taking a look at it because it's a class for which the materials are very simple and I didn't purchase anything. So the first one is a ballpoint pen. I'm using my ballpoint that I use for writing. Then markers, I'm using these Faber-Castell water-soluble markers that I had at home, but I could use any kind of markers. Then graphite pencil, some gouache. I have all the gouache I need. Brushes, I have all the brushes I need as well. I have a palette, artist's tape, it's fine, I have it. Paper towels, spray bottle, water container. This is a very simple materials list, but it's also becoming less and less expensive for me to start a class because I gathered a lot of materials already, and so I usually don't have to shop for a class. And the final one is a sketchbook. They say A5 or larger. The one I'm using is just my sketchbook for everything. I usually have one A4 sketchbook going that I do most things in. It's nice for most mediums, and it's slightly used here because I've been using it for a few months now. I'm almost at the end, so I'm not a fan of this sketchbook, by the way, because it's landscape and I prefer portrait ones. So I'm almost done. I've been using it since February. I've been using it for life drawing, for courses, for drawing outside, and I'm right here. And I started doing my assignments in it. Once I'm done with this sketchbook, it's not going to last the entire duration of the class. I will switch to a vertical one, and this is going to be my next sketchbook for everything. As I said, this class was about master studies, and it had a very interesting structure, and we covered a very wide range of artworks. So it was a 10 weeks class. The first week of a live class is always just demonstration because the instructor doesn't have artwork to critique yet, and the last week is always just critiques because you don't have an assignment for the week after that because there is no week after that. So this one was a 10 weeks class, so 9 weeks of assignments, and it was divided in 3 sections. The first one was all about still lifes, the second one all about landscapes, and we finished on figurative and animal. We had 3 weeks dedicated to each theme, and every time we did 1 week of value studies using markers, 1 week of more in-depth, more detailed graphite studies using graphite, obviously, and the final week of a theme was color studies, so this time we used gouache. For me, live classes tend to last longer than pre-recorded courses because for a pre-recorded course I go at my own pace and it's usually faster than what is recommended, so at New Masters Academy, they call a lesson a week. And I don't do one lesson per week. So I tend to complete at least 2 weeks a week. So I spend less time doing a course than a live class, because a live class I have to wait for the next week to happen before I can do it. So since it's taking longer for me, I tend to have a lot of energy at the start and kind of lose it, and then towards the end I'm all hyped again because I feel that it's ending soon. So here it was even stronger, because the first 3 weeks were about still lives, and it's a subject that I really like, that I really enjoy drawing and painting and studying. And Catherine, I didn't say it yet, but she's an amazing instructor at New Masters Academy. I love her classes, I love her critiques, and I'm not alone. It was a very popular class because she is very well loved among New Masters Academy students, and we knew that it was going to be a very fun and interesting and rich live class. So a lot of us submitted and took it, and yeah, I love still lives. And Catherine had selected reference paintings for us, so we could either work from paintings that we chose ourselves, or we could use the references provided in the lesson. I personally, for the entire class, used the references that were provided because they were great. She curated amazing artworks, and I was so inspired that I didn't want to use any other. We started with marker studies. For the first week, we had to do 10 small studies with just values and trying to simplify as much as possible. So the first week was about the overall composition and how the value shapes work together, kind of trying to simplify the entire piece in the simplest way and focusing on what is the most important, in the sense that it's the first thing that our eye perceive as human beings. Then second week was an opportunity to be a lot more detailed. So it was a graphite study where we could investigate edges and shapes more in depth, and spend our time rendering and trying to analyze at a final level what the artists were doing. So for this week, we didn't have to do 10 studies. We could do 1, 2, or 3 studies, and each study would be only a small part of the painting. So we were focusing on a detail. And I did 2 for the first week. Then finally gouache studies. So this time it's all about color. And Catherine advised that for these we reused paintings that we had already been studying in week 1. So I think it's a very good advice, because value is one element of color, and having our value study from the first week to refer back to when doing the color study was very useful. It was kind of a shortcut to have one of the elements of the color study already figured out. And for me, I think this first round of gouache studies is my most successful. It's the one that I don't know if I enjoyed the most doing this assignment, but it's definitely the assignment that turned out the best. The second theme didn't work as well. Landscapes are, for me, it's a weak point. It's something that I don't enjoy drawing and that I'm not good at. And I don't know if I don't enjoy it because I'm not good at it, or if I'm not good at it because I don't enjoy it. But I suspect that it is because I am bad that I don't enjoy, and not the other way around. I took a class at NMA about landscape. It is in the Drawing Foundations module. You have Introduction to Landscape Drawing with Steve Houston, and I took it. And it is an excellent class, and it showed me how bad I am at it. I did a decent job. I completed the class and I got positive feedback on all of my assignments. But I can feel that it's a weaker area for me and something that I have to work on, because it's all about, it's more abstract in a sense, because when you draw a portrait, if you don't put the nose in the right place, it's going to be obvious for anyone looking at it. But when you draw a mountain or landscape or hills or trees, you have a lot more leeway. And so this is more abstract. This is more about composition, intention, and design. And these are all very important things that I definitely want to be able to master is a very strong word, but that I want to be more at ease with, and I'm not yet. So I thought that the landscape theme was going to be a lot harder for me, and it definitely was. My value studies are not the best from this course, I think. I was going too much into details and I was trying to hatch with my markers, which didn't end up well. I think the markers are really a tool that forces you to simplify as much as you can, because when you try to be more refined on such a small scale, especially, these are all very, very small studies, so like 5 by 7 or 8 centimeters, so 2 by 3 inches or less. And then I had a very hard time for the next week choosing a study to do in graphite, choosing an element of a painting to study graphite, because a landscape for me, and again I use the references created by Catherine for this lesson, and they were great. I discovered paintings I had never seen before and that are just amazing. But a landscape works for me as a whole. I appreciate looking at it like as an entire thing, and it's harder for me to see a subject on a landscape painting and to define a specific element that works separated from all the rest. It's more about the environment than a specific subject, and of course this is just my perception. I know that a landscape painting, like any painting, can and maybe should have a focal point, and there can be a subject, but it's not as obvious as a portrait, for example, or even a still life. So it took me a long time to find something to study, and I finally decided to study a small rock formation in the middle of a lake that I thought was detailed enough in the painting that I could do something in graphite with it, and interesting enough for me. But it was all about shapes, and it was a difficult study for me. Graphite doesn't have the range of values that oil has, so there is an adjustment more than one. There are adjustments to be made when you study in graphite, but it's also a very useful exercise to be able to translate a medium into another one. It asks you to be very intentional with your values and very in control of your values. You need to know your medium, to know how light and how dark you can be, and to be able to adapt what you see to translate it into the medium, which is, I think, a very difficult thing to do, and so a very useful thing to exercise. And finally, the gouache studies for the landscapes are I think my worst of the gouache studies for this class. I still had a nice time doing them, and I tried my best, but I think they are the weakest, and especially after the still lives one that were extremely successful in my opinion. I finished them and I was slightly impressed. They all turned out too cool compared to the original paintings, but I was still very proud of what I had achieved. It showed me all of the progress that I had made in gouache in over a year of using it. So I was starting to look forward to the end of the class. I was, when it takes too long, I start to be, I'm less excited about the class. It was great from beginning to end, but I personally am less excited, and so after the landscapes that were not my favorite weeks, I wasn't as much into the course as I was at the beginning. But again, the references that we had for the last theme were just amazing, stunning, beautiful, incredible artworks. I didn't use any paintings that I had chosen myself. I used only references provided for the class. I found them very inspiring, and so I had some new energy. My value studies this time I tried to keep very simple. I was getting better with the markers because I had been using them for value studies twice already, and at the same time I was also taking dynamic sketching on the side, and for dynamic sketching I was using the same markers. So I was getting a lot more comfortable about how to make gradients somehow. I realized that if I start with a dark value with my dark gray marker, and then while it's still wet I go back with a lighter one, I can create kind of soft gradient. It's not perfect, but I was getting better with the technique, and I definitely didn't hatch or anything like that because it doesn't work at all for me with these markers. So I'm pretty happy about how the value studies turned out. I am not happy about how the graphite study went. It was very late, I was very tired, and unfortunately I didn't even record it. I forgot to record the last couple assignments, so I'm going to show you in my sketchbook what the final assignments look like. Again, I think my gouache studies from the first theme were the best by far, but I'm not too unhappy about how the studies for the last week went. So this is my page of gouache studies. And again, I chose paintings that I had studied in markers, so you can see this one here. It was a lot of fun to take. This is the second live class that I took at New Masters Academy. The first one was Mastering Color Fundamentals with Bill Perkins, and it was an amazing class, but very challenging with it was more theory, more challenge every week. This one, Sketchbook Journey, was more about the process, and for me, I didn't learn any fundamentally new concept because I'm towards the end of the Drawing Foundations module, and these are all things that I had learned previously, and so I had the opportunity to revisit, to deepen my understanding of some of these, and to practice a lot, which was great, but nothing very new. So it was a lot more relaxing than my previous live class, and mostly fun, mostly very enjoyable, low pressure assignments. So it's a class that I highly recommend if you have the opportunity to take it. I don't think it's going to happen again as a live class, but live classes are recorded, and if you have the right subscription at New Masters Academy, you have access to all of the recordings of the previous live classes. So you could watch it and do the assignments on your own, and you could maybe use anime critics to get critics on your assignments and all of that. But even if you don't, I think it is a great class. No matter your skill level, if you are just starting, it's going to be a nice starting point for your own sketchbook practice and for your own master study practice. And if you have already taken some courses at New Masters Academy, you're going to already know some concepts, and it's going to build on that. This one is very beginner friendly, and Catherine is explaining everything that she shows. I have some videos coming about how I organize myself for New Masters Academy, so you can subscribe if you want to see them. Thank you very much for watching, stay creative, and I will see you in the next one.